Shalom and Bruchim Habayim. Hello, peace, love, and welcome everybody. We are gathered here today to celebrate, yes, celebrate, the life of Suzi Rubin. A mensch. Mensch in Yiddish means a good, kind-hearted person. And Suzi was a mensch. And Leon is a mensch. And all of your family are mensches. And mensches are all in this room, which is beautiful. Suzi passed on a Friday a week ago, surrounded by the love of her family. According to Jewish tradition, both tradition and Jewish mysticism, there is a lot of symbolism when someone passes on a Friday night, on the holiest day of the week, which in Judaism starts from evening to evening. And when somebody passes on Shabbat, it means that they indeed, according to Jewish mysticism, were a true mensch, a true good and kind-hearted person, and God chose to take them to be with God on Shabbat. And as Suzi was full of life, we celebrate her life. Oh God, who gave us birth, you are ever more ready to hear than we are to pray. You know our needs before we ask, and our ignorance in asking. Give to us now your grace, that as we shrink before the mystery of death, we may see the light of eternity. Speak to us once more your solemn message of life and of death. Help us to live as those who are prepared to die. And when our days here are accomplished, enable us to die as those who go forth to live, so that living or dying, our life may be in you, and that nothing in life or in death will be able to separate us. And I shared with the wonderful Rubin family just moments ago that indeed love never dies and is eternal. This is some. Mourning is the price we pay for having the courage to love others. Even in grief, we know that the wonder of human life is too complex and too magnificent to be memorialized in endless pain. The gifts of spirit our loved ones gave us cannot be measured or weighed, nor can they be lost or even tarnished. Even in our darkest hours, we know that some of their light and their warmth will always be with us, bringing comfort and courage, and in the fullness of time, bringing healing and peace. יש כוכבים שאורם מגיע ארצה, רק כאשר הם עצמם עבדו בעינם. There are stars up above. So far away, we only see their light, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we love. Their memories keep shining brightly, though their time with us, or in this world, is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. These are the ways we remember as we live our days. We are now going to share memories of Suzi Rubin. And I would like to I would like to call Rebecca Bailey to devote the caregiver. We are fourth speaker and Michelle Manning.
First and foremost, I would like to say thank you to the Rubin for giving me the opportunity to speak here today, to be a part of your deep love for Suzi, more than I can express with words, but I'll do my best. Suzi was incredibly loving, intelligent, sassy, and fun. 5 years ago, when I first moved here from Mississippi, I was working at Dahlonega, the facility she was in, as an agency nurse. I remember that day that we met so clearly. I was walking into Suzi's room, and the door slammed back on me so hard that it actually gave me a black eye. And Suzi says, "I see you met our ghost." We looked at each other and we started laughing. That was just the first of many laughs we shared. I never thought that we would grow such a deep and meaningful relationship. Over these years, she became my best friend and a mentor. Suzi loves to tell stories about her childhood in Florida, about being a mother, even to her adopted children, her students. Being a drama teacher and having those amazing students that she adored. Living next to a football player, Emmitt Smith, and him letting her daughter Kristen wear his Super Bowl ring. I could go on forever because there were so many great stories and hours of shared conversations. Suzi had the best stories. If you don't mind, I'd like to share one about her childhood. Being an only child in a small rural neighborhood, Suzi had to find things to do to keep her busy and out of trouble. She said that her father had told her to see if she could catch a bird, she had to sprinkle salt on its tail. And so she ran around the yard all the time with a salt shaker. She never caught that bird. Every morning when I would wake her up, we would watch the Golden Girls together. And I would dance to the introduction music and sing along. Just so I could see her smile and laugh. I want to say a big thank you for being a friend. Leanne, I know that you are going to finish for family. You can have such a wonderful life. My deepest condolences go out to you and your family members. You will forever be in my heart.
Come on. Again, Leon shared with me that Suzi wanted for life to be celebrated. And I come from a very similar family. So it's hard for us. And crying is a good thing because we get our feelings out. And I'm sure Suzi is somewhere looking at us right now and smiling, and as we share our life. So please come on and please share it with us.
In my life, I've never had the peace that I'm with good people. That this is a congregation of very good people, because it was to know Suzi too, just to know her spirit, who she was. You know, so it was just from the first moment, it's just such a peace to know that, you know, that, because, you know, we live in a harsh world. We just live in a harsh world, and it's just hard how people are. So it was very comforting to be that very first moment. But the story I was going to tell about Suzi was the first time I ever worked for her. So my life has been tree work. Next year I will have done tree work for 50 years. But so I started when I was 17 as a tree service. But I was down in the hole, and Leon will relate to this. So I'm down in where the view is. And I'm deep down in there. I mean, it's just basically a cliff, and it's part of making the view. And I didn't turn around when I heard this voice, but I heard this sweet voice, and she said, "How will you get the trees out of there?" And I said, I didn't even turn around. And I played back forever in my mind. So I didn't even turn around and look at her, because I'm basically standing on a cliff in a hole. And I said, "There's not the first limb will come out of here." And she said, with her sweet voice, she said, oh, that was it. That was it. So then another time, because I've worked there repeatedly. And so one time I brought a guy named, he was just somebody that worked for me, but his name was Boy Tootle. So I always remember that name, Boy Tootle. But he related to Suzi because he had director. So, you know, don't put him in the same category, but he directed a play like at the Crimson Moon in Dahlonega. So he was all over her and everything. He said he was never a good employee working. So he was all over her, just talking. And then, so she was paying him attention. And so then he was working me over hard. So we should have been doing tree work. He wanted me to come to a play at the Crimson Moon. And so I was frustrated because we're trying to do tree work, and I was frustrated, but Suzi was listening. And I finally said to him harshly, I was trying to get him off of me, but I said, "Boy," I said, "would you rather me say right now that I'm coming but not show up, or would you rather me, you know, just tell you flat-footed I'm not coming? Just pick one. But I'll flat-footed tell you I'm not coming." And I'll just always remember how tickled Suzi got. She got so tickled. I mean, she just lost it getting tickled about that. So I always remember that. But then, thanks to Leon, through the time that she was in the house, whenever I go to the house, he would always say, "Do you want to come in and see Suzi?" And so I would go in and visit with Suzi and all. So she was very, very significant in my life. She's just very significant. It's so hard to sit here, you know, and look at the picture of her. We're just loving her. So she was everything that everybody knows of just how sweet she was. But then Leon, how sweet Leon is, because Leon is a testimony of a husband that just, you know, cares so much, just so cares. So my hat is off to you, Leon, for how you were such a caring for Suzi. You know, so I'm a witness to that. I watched that through the years and everything. So, you know, thank you for those memories. So you can tell them a jabberbox, but that pretty much says it.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think Suzi would be mad at me if I didn't speak. So, because I'm a success story of hers. And she loved to tell that story. First time I met Suzi, I was in 10th grade. She had come to our school in the middle of the year at 20 years old to teach after graduating from the University of South Florida. And I believe it was the first week she was there that I went outside, took drugs, and passed out in her class. And now later, due in large part to her involvement in my life, I became a lawyer, very successful attorney for 35 years, recently retired. She saved my life. She was there every significant part of my life. She did no makeup when I went to the prom. And she took me shopping every year for my clothes. We would go to plays together. We would bowl together. I would spend the night at her house, and she would be there for me in a loving but firm way. I do remember once I was smoking in the bathroom in high school, and she caught me. And considering our relationship, one might think she wouldn't turn me in, but no, she turned me in. And I got in trouble. So, anyway, obviously I've known Suzi, longer than anybody in this room, and, loved her, as much as all of you, love her. And, I'm not her only success story. There were many, many acts, which sort of bugged me, because I was her first. But, she really devoted her life to her students and being there for the lost kids. And that's a true match. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I traveled in Utah, just had to be here today. I am one of the Eastside High School drama kids, and Miss Bertie was just a huge influence on my life. She cast me as Scout in To Kill a Mockingbird, and it was just a life-changing experience. And I think about it often, actually, to give a high school kid that kind of encouragement and a role like that. And I don't know, she pushed me to be more sassy and to speak up for myself. And I carry that with me. I was also reminiscing with Kristen that I made the huge mistake of getting caught leaving school, or getting caught coming back from skipping school, or like during practices for To Kill a Mockingbird, and Miss Bertie was so mad at me. She was so scary. And she did just like Kristen did, she did her hands like this and she glared at me. And I was just in so much trouble, and I was so much more scared of her than like detention or any other thing. I remember she negotiated for me to still go to practice, and I had to do detention later. So all of it was way worse, and skipping school was not worth it at all. But she was just an incredible influence in my life, and I wouldn't be anywhere else but here today. And thank you to the family.
Do you have anyone else that would like to share? So I'm sure it happens to some of us, or to all of us when we were kids, that we used to take, we take a stone and we throw it to a puddle of water or to a lake. And then what happens? Ripple. And once and again, and I'm tearing too, because once and again, and with good people like Suzi, like you, Rubin, like you, Leon, once and again, we just don't know all those ripples. And we just saw just some of those ripples. And some of the lives that Suzi saved and that Suzi touched. And I'm sure there are countless more that we don't know about and that you will get to know about. And I think really Suzi's memory and celebration of life is living with those ripples and the good that she brought to our world and that she is still bringing to our world with our students and with whoever, everybody she touched. We now I want to now invite the family next to share with us. And so, David.
I need to pull my stuff together. A tribute to Suzi. When I was 15, I got a bonus mom. I remember the first time that I met Suzi, how warm she made me feel, how easy it was to talk to her, and how hard she made me laugh. I was nervous, knowing my dad already loved this person, but my nerves immediately melted away. By the end of that first weekend we spent together, I was psyched for her to be my bonus mom. She made it so easy to accept a new dynamic. Fast forward to a Disney wedding, where for once they weren't covered in their lanyards, and it was official. I also got the best sister you could ask for with Kristen. And the Rubin family, part two, was born, and I loved every minute of it, and I still do. It was really special to witness her and Leon filled with so much joy, sharing amazing adventures and experiences together, and to be a part of many of those experiences and moments myself. While I know that we Rubin boys only represent a piece of Suzi's incredible life journey and those that she influenced, I can't help but reflect on how grateful I am that we got to share over 25 years together as a family. One that is deeply real to me and that doesn't stop here and it never will. Suzi was a true force of nature, incredibly smart, funny, creative, thoughtful, sassy, and could battle wits with the best of them. Suzi could tell stories without taking a breath, it seemed, effortlessly carrying a whole dinner table or group and uplifting the energy in the room. She taught and influenced hundreds, if not thousands, of students throughout the years, bringing confidence to life for them with her teaching style and directing of theater productions, a love that we both connected on quite a bit. And sunsets, we both loved a great sunset, and those mean more to me now. Then there was Suzi as just my bonus mom. We went through a lot of experiences together, from hard to joyful, yet Suzi remained steadfast for me, constantly offering to listen, give advice, and advocate for me to achieve my dreams. She always made me feel special and incredibly loved. She put in genuine effort. One time, Suzi even jumped into action to help me quickly get rid of a hickey on my neck with ice cubes and a towel. That is real mom behavior. Suzi also taught me that mayonnaise can pretty much go on anything, and lots of it. And as the laundry goddess, she taught me the best dry technique for a pair of jeans that you will ever see. If anyone's curious, come see me after. And so many years of wonderful memories together that play like little movies in my mind. And that's how I choose to honor her. In our final hours together, we sang Elvis, sang it loud for her. We hand danced, we shared love, and I spoke to her at length, doing my best to make sure she knew how grateful I have been to have her as family and as another mom. So thank you, Suzi, again, for the years of fun, laughter, encouragement, listening, advice, endless support, thoughtfulness, and most of all, love. The list goes on. You really were one of a kind, and all who were blessed to be loved by you felt it. I'll forever be grateful for our relationship. Your precious time is mimsy to my sweet girl Emmy. Your light will always shine bright for us. And may your memory be a blessing for us all. I love you. Don't. Hello, everyone. Thank you all so much for being here today. It means so much to my dad and to our entire family. For those of you who I've yet to meet, my name is Suzi Rubin. Suzi was my stepmom for the last 25 years. In recent years, as Suzi's health declined, it was tremendously difficult to watch. A woman who was once full of so much energy, so much spirit, so much joy, all that had that gradually stolen away. It hurts my heart to think about. And while those of you who met her more recently likely got a taste of what made Suzi so great, I hate that you didn't get to experience peak Suzi, as I like to say. And that's the Suzi that I'll remember. When Suzi entered my life, I was naturally skeptical. My dad met her on the internet. This was before it was super common, and while I guess those two lovebirds were trendsetters of sorts, I was still a bit unsure about how real it was. But as David alluded to, when I met her, I quickly learned what made her so appealing to my dad. Shared interests, of course, but so much more than that. She was warm and welcoming, witty and funny, full of stories and personality, a force of nature, really. And that's the Suzi I'll remember. Before long, those lovebirds figured out they were actually soulmates. Got married, and thanks to my move to Gainesville for college at the University of Florida, we got to spend even more time together. Both there and back in Boca Raton, where I grew up, and where she started teaching at my old high school. That was also when I got to meet and spend time with Kristen, my sister, who's hands down the best thing I've gained from my dad and Suzi ending up together. The time we spent together as a blended family helped me discover and appreciate even more about Suzi, and truly cherish the woman who was now my stepmom. The potty mouth. The love of Elvis. The voracious reading. The very specific names for every pet she and my dad ever acquired. First, middle, last. How extra she was at Christmas time, from the endless collection of Santa figurines on display to the piles of gifts that filled living rooms from Boca Raton to Gainesville to Dahlonega. The little notes she'd leave around the house for my dad, showering him with love and appreciation. How she embraced my dad's hometown of East Liverpool, Ohio, and all the people there. How she supported a move here to Dahlonega. The calls I make to her after every Gator football game to recap the good, the bad, and especially the ugly. And while appreciate may not be the right word, I did get a kick out of her consistent request for a grandbaby, basically as soon as I got engaged to my now wife, Jen. It did take a little while, but we finally granted that wish a few years back. That is a Suzi that I'll remember. My all-time favorite picture of Suzi isn't from her wedding to my dad, or from my wedding down the road here at Monteluce, or even of her with my daughter Sloan. It's from October 25th, 2013, and I took it on my phone. She and my dad were visiting Gainesville, and we had just spent some time touring different areas of the swamp, the iconic stadium where our Gators played football, where I had the opportunity to work for many years, giving me the perk of sharing some behind-the-scenes access. In the photo, Suzi's sitting on a concrete bollard outside the stadium, wearing an orange Gators t-shirt, flip-flops, with a huge purse in her lap. Her eyes are closed, her head tilted toward the abundant sunshine pouring down on her, just like this. It was a moment of peace and joy and warmth and comfort, basking in the sun with her Gators and her family close by. That was the essence of Suzi. That's the Suzi that I'll remember. Thanks.
Zip order. Okay. I did copy this into a different app so I could zoom in because that's how old I am now. For anyone who knew me as a child, I should have brought my reader at years old. Here we go. I just want to start by saying thank you to each and every one of you for being here today to grieve and remember my mom together. I'm so touched by the words that y'all have shared, and they will be a comfort to me today and from now on. So as now you know, my mom was the high school drama teacher for the majority of her professional life. And as a result, my first play was in The Wizard of Oz. I was cast as a munchkin at 4 years old. There's the ruby slippers, Mayor, was my first line on the stage. In this, sorry, there's gonna be more of that, y'all, I apologize. In this, Suzi taught me that all the world is a stage, and you have to be louder than you think you should, so everyone can hear you. The Wizard of Oz would not be the first or the last time that my after-school care or my camps would be the Eastside High School drama program run by its students. Some of my earliest and most vivid memories are in and around that theater and those rotating groups of her students, complete with random side quests in cars with teenagers full of their dreams and of conversations I would only fully understand one day. In this, Suzi taught me the power of making the best of the cards in your hand and the importance of childcare, which would ultimately become my career, as a tool to empower women, because women deserve to safely follow their dreams and pursue their passions even after parenthood. Having a teacher as a mother is a unique privilege and equally dynamic form of torture. Having your mother as one of those teachers is all those combined to the third degree. Suzi had a bachelor's degree in English, and so that meant the summer before the big fourth grade writing test, I got practice prompts on car rides and individualized instruction on expanding and enriching sentences. Okay, tell me about the trees. She'd gesture out the car window. The trees have branches. More, she'd demand. More about the branches, she'd prompt. What what kind of tree? The tree had long branches. More, she'd demand. The tall and crooked oak tree had long branches that arched over the road. There, now are you happy? Yep. She would sing victorious. In this, Suzi taught me the power of precise, detailed, rich, and colorful language. Most importantly, the value of reviewing and revising. And speaking of colorful language, I'm really glad that we're not in a traditional house of worship because, as John alluded to, he was one of the best cussers that ever lived. Don't worry, I'm not going to attempt any reenactments, but she could spew more swear words per second than a sailor, and in combinations that would impress as much as they would astound. During her play rehearsals, no direction went repeated alone, but came adorned and accessorized with swear words in ways that definitely would have gotten her canceled today. During parent-teacher conferences, where she would arrive in full mama bear mode, no fellow educator was spared. During sporting events, no ref or coach was safe. In this, Suzi taught me what scientists and researchers would later confirm. Sometimes cussing just makes you feel better, no matter how expansive your vocabulary actually is. And while her cussing was legendary, so were her performances. I had the best bedtime story reader ever. And the performances that she could elicit out of her high school students. I would later learn during some of my college classes that this could also be filed under a research-based idea. Talking about the power of high expectations and how students often rise to the expectations set by their teachers. And boy, did I experience those high expectations in a lot of ways. But most entertainingly, when Suzi was my teacher in an elective that she made me take for 4 years.
An elective in which she gave me a B+, even though I'm the one who input her grades starting in the mid-90s and knew intimately just how much they were based on vibes and not just assignments. In this, Susie taught me not only the power and value of having high expectations, but also when you feel like you can't rise to them, the value in being a personality hire and just bringing the vibes. You never know just how many points those will earn you. As a single parent for my entire childhood, my mama didn't have the luxury of outsourcing too many important tasks in taking an embryo into adulthood. So to save her own sanity, she sometimes made some questionable decisions that I am finally able to share with you. And I am sorry in advance to her. Like the time that she had it with my behavior, how dare I act like a 10-year-old, and was getting ready to beat me. And this is not a gentle parenting edition. I was gonna get a walloping, y'all. And I was running from the inevitable, and she missed. And she hit the banister on the stairs, and she broke her finger. She very quickly concocted the new version of the story where it was playful running and chasing and not attempted child abuse that resulted in the injury. She wrapped her finger up, she went to the Florida football game, and then she sought emergency medical attention after the Gators won. And in this, Susie taught me the power of controlling the narrative and the statute of limitations. And also that a broken bone doesn't stop you from seeing your Gators play. Not to one-up her, but I did also once break a foot before a game, and then did in fact watch the Gators win, and then fly to another town before seeking medical care. Another of her questionable and dated single parenting sanity savings decisions centered around that notoriously traumatic teenage milestone, learning to drive. After giving me some basics and realizing that she was probably going to cause a wreck with her exaggerated screams and the slamming on the dash, she decided that the best way for me to practice these new skills was to let me loose in my neighborhood at 15 and drive around. In that, Susie taught me that teenagers really can't be trusted, but do need safe spaces to learn with trusted adults, and that what you don't know is sometimes for the best. And speaking of what she didn't know, but of course actually did, or I wouldn't have done my own narrative spinning. And since I aired out a little of her dirty laundry, I feel like it's only fair, since the statute of limitations has been exceeded, that I confess to a few things. So, Mom, I'm sorry. It was me who screamed up Grandma's car at prom. It was not just her getting old and slipping up. That was also true. It just wasn't the result of that incident. Yes, in my defense, I did learn to drive without a lot of supervision. Yes, every time you accuse me of smelling like cigarettes or cigarette smoke or weed, and I blamed the company I was keeping, I was also smoking whatever with them. But don't worry, I did quit smoking cigarettes a long time ago for vanity reasons. Those teenage and adolescent years were rough on our enmeshed and codependent relationship, but just in the nick of time, when I needed the space to spread my wings and learn to fly, she met the romantic love of her life and the man who would, and still does, show up for me in ways well beyond the job title or description, Leon Rubin. Best of all, Leon came with not one, but two brothers. And I had already had a found sister, my best friend from age 11, who is here today. So it wouldn't be anything to add brothers, right? Wrong. It wasn't anything. It was everything. John and David, I have never been more grateful to have you as my brothers. Susie and Leon fulfilled their vows, but our bond will live on forever. In this, Susie taught me one of the most important life lessons of all. Love and family are not finite. They are infinite and expansive. And it is never too late to find love or create family, because it is all around you. Just like these lessons, I could go on and on in great details about all the life lessons I got from my mother. When I was able to see her before she passed and while she was still able to communicate, I asked her what signs she would send me so that I know she was there. But the joke is on me because I will always see and hear her in everything. In every book I read or listen to, in every show I watch, in every person who laughs with their whole chest, in every bird chirp and rustling breeze. She said rainbows, by the way. And while those sightings will be much more rare, the memories of her won't. So we'll see you somewhere over the rainbow. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you so much for all of support. All of us. So I will be pursuing. Honey, I have a crazy idea. I haven't spoke those words to Susie in more than 25 years we were together. Usually it meant that I wanted us to go to Disney World. When Susie and I met, she lived in Gainesville, Florida, and I lived 295 miles away in Boca Raton. So much of our courtship was spent at the happiest place on earth, because it was roughly halfway between our two lovers. Well, all right, it was more than halfway for me, but Susie was. People always ask how we met. Quarter of a century ago, it used to be sort of scandalous to say we met online, but we did. Back in those days on America Online, you could make a little mini profile for yourself that listed a few of your interests. I put theater in mine, of course, which, to no surprise, caught Susie's attention. So she reached out. I used to say that she was trolling. Yeah. We started chatting online and emailing. She used to call me Sugar. No one had ever called me Sugar. I was enthralled. Since my son John had the good sense to enroll at the University of Florida in Gainesville, I thought there might be an opportunity to meet this intriguing woman. The first time we spoke on the phone was during John's orientation. We finally got together in person a few months later. I had to go to Orlando on business and figured that Gainesville wasn't that much farther up the road, so we arranged to meet. And that was it. It truly was love at first sight. To seal the deal, Susie surreptitiously arranged for Kristen to meet me at a restaurant to make sure I wasn't an axe murderer. And she took me to see the Bat House on the UF campus. I mean, could it have gotten any better? Still, it wasn't long before I asked Susie to move in with me in Boca at Disney World, of course. It was at Epcot behind the United Kingdom Pavilion. She agreed. Later, I proposed to her in front of the entire audience for her final production of Fame at Eastside High School. There was one small obstacle, though. I had forgotten to buy her an engagement ring. So I had to stop at a Walmart somewhere in North Florida and find one. I always refer to it after that as the Walmart diamond. A few years later, while we were living in Boca together, I said to Susie again, I have a crazy idea. She naturally assumed I wanted to go to Disney World. Let's move to Georgia, I said. It made a lot of sense. My son David attended high school in Dahlonega. We bought a house here in 2003. By 2006, Susie's dear mother Penny was in ill health in Gainesville, and I figured we could get good care for her here. Susie was distraught at first because she had already planned out the show she was going to direct at Spanish River High School the next year. Honey, I said, you won't have to work. It was a done deal. So we packed up a truck and a car trailer and 2 pods, and we moved here to our little paradise in the mountains 20 years ago this month. I won't bore you with the rest of the story, but I want to say that our lives here have been full of joy and adventures and critters and blissful time together. There was that blip 5 years ago when we both got COVID, which led to Susie being confined to a nursing home for almost 22 months. But throughout that dreadful period of separation, I was determined to bring her home to Cedar Mountain. Eventually I did. And that's where we spent the rest of our days. All of this would never have been possible without the love and support of our children, Kristen, John, and David, my sister, Elsa Efron, and in recent years, our devoted caregiver, Rebecca. Many of you in this room have also shown great kindness to Suzi and me, and we're eternally grateful for that. Suzi and I packed a lot in the 25 years. Throughout the entire time, I never ceased to be amazed by how loved I felt. If I was traveling, Suzi would leave little notes in my suitcase in the tote bag where I kept my toothbrush. At home, there would be more notes. One of my favorites, which I still have somewhere, said, "Mouse in the house." We said "I love you" to each other countless times a day, and always the last thing at night. We smiled, we laughed, we joked around, we hugged a lot. I miss all of that. I wish I could continue to suggest crazy ideas to Suzi, but I suppose I will in a way, because I'll always carry her with me. Love you, sugar.
The ancient rabbis thought that there are three crowns: the crown of Torah, the crown of priesthood, and the crown of royalty. But they emphasized that the crown of a good name sells them all. The book of Ecclesiastes says, Tov Shem Tov Bishem and Tov. A good name is to be treasured above precious oil. Wealth, health, even life passes away, but a good name lives forever. It is this view that the Talmud, the ancient Jewish book of law, teaches. Monuments need not be erected for the righteous. Their deeds are their memorials. They will be remembered and revered for the kindness they have shown and for the love they have given. They are shining examples of what it means to be a mensch, to be a good person. For God, full of compassion, who dwells on high, grant true rest upon the wings of the Shekhinah, the divine presence, in the exalted spheres of the holy and pure, who shine as the resplendence of the firmament to the soul of Suzi Rubin, who has gone to her world and to the world to come. May your blessed of rest be in Gan Eden, Garden of Eden. Therefore, may the all-merciful one shelter her with the cover of his wings forever, and bind her soul in the bond of life. The Lord is her heritage. May she rest in her resting place in peace, and let us say,
Amen.
Kaddish, if it's your custom, please join me for the prayer. Yitkadash, Shemei Rabba, Ve'alma, Yivrach, Yitzeh, Yamlik, Ma'uteh, Ve'zman, Uchaneh, Yikarev, Meshichet, Ve'chayechon, Yom Echon, Chayei Echol Bet Yisrael, Va'agala, Zman Karim, Ve'imru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba, Mekorach, Ve'alam, Amen, Maya. Yisrael, 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 Shmed, Usha, Ela, Kol, Privata, Shirata, Mishpechata, Nechemata, Da'amiran, Da'ama, Amen. Yehei Shema, Rabba, Min Shemaya, V'chaim Tovim, Aleinu, Ve'al Israel, Amen. Stay shalom, Yehumah. We are stay shalom. עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. Throughout the world which he has created according to his will. He who makes peace in his heavens, may he make peace for us and for all of Israel, and for all those who've been blessed to humanity. And let us say,
Amen.
thank you. We are now going to have our closing song to celebrate Suzi and Leon's love and life, eternal love. Is I will cover you from rent as the family exit. And so please wait after the song is over as the family exit. And then we will all meet in the big hall for traditional celebration of life, traditional celebration of life and traditional meal. Thank you everybody for being here and for supporting the Dahlonega family.